Hello again. Welcome back to the channel. In this one, we are talking about gang stalking. And not just gang stalking. It's a big topic. We're talking about why you're being gang stalked. Because let's keep it real. This is something that a lot of targeted individuals could not figure out, cannot understand, cannot make sense of. They just don't get it. Why are they so important to these people? Why can't these gang stalkers leave them alone? It just doesn't make any sense. And that's why I decided to get on here today, do this live video for you, clear up some confusion. And I'm not saying that I have all the answers. Very few people, if anyone does, at least anyone who's being targeted, anyone who's not high up in the gang stalking themselves. But I do have a lot of experience. I've done a lot of research. So I do know what I'm talking about. I just don't have all of the answers on it. I can't tell you exactly who is gang stalking you. I mean, of course, you may see some of the people who are at a lower level, but it's hard to say who is higher up, who has orchestrated it. I mean, this could be something where it's like someone in your family got you assigned to this program, wanted you to be targeted. Yes, that's possible. It could be someone in your workplace. It could be maybe you cross paths with a Freemason, have it in for you. It could be higher up. It could be government. It could be even higher up than that. But I'm telling you, it's unlikely that it's just law enforcement, something at a lower level. It is likely to be something much higher up than that for them to be able to orchestrate something like this and on such a big scale as well. That suggests that whoever it is, they do have a lot of power. So those are my ideas of who I think is gang stalking you. And yeah, I'm sorry I can't be more specific on that. And I really just have to, I can only go as far as what I really know to be sure about the gang stalking. But yeah, I've got a lot of research and I've been studying this for a while. I have a lot of experience. So I do have a pretty good idea of why you're being targeted, why you stood out, why not someone else? Because clearly, although these people, yes, they're definitely mentally ill. Most of them, they definitely have a cluster B disorder. They're highly narcissistic, borderline, histrionic, a combination of all of these. There's no doubt about that. Because just look at the traits of these disorders, they have all of them. So they're definitely disordered, they're mentally ill, there's no doubt about it. But also, just because someone is mentally ill, it doesn't mean that you automatically become a target. So why did they choose you? I mean, there's so many other people out there. What makes you so special? Why did you suddenly become so important to them? And I understand, that's the very confusing part about it. It's difficult to make sense of that. And really, it's a big part of it is because they devalue you, they blame you, shame you, They make you feel like there's something wrong with you. And you think that's why you're being targeted. So you never think to look at your good qualities, the good things that make you stand out, the good things that make you special. And this is their whole game. Think about it. Why have they got to come at you like that when they're stalking you? Targeting your confidence, your insecurities. They're targeting things that are already good, already strong about you. You already have confidence, happiness, peace, success, so that they're able to diminish that in you. Because if you already weren't doing so good, they wouldn't really have much to take away. And you've got to think about this in terms of predator and prey. You have something that they can feed on, something that they can consume. A predator is not going to chase down, they're not going to hunt down something that they can't even consume. If it doesn't have any meat, and that's just it, you have substance. You have something that they can consume, that they can take advantage of. So this is not about you being deficient, being inadequate. No, it's actually quite the opposite. You have more than most people. And not only that, they're able to gain access to it. That's a very important point as well. So what this really comes down to is that it's about convenience. You were a convenient target to them. Maybe you were isolated. You didn't have strong boundaries. You didn't have a strong support network, maybe not too many friends or supportive family members. This is a big part of it. And not only that, maybe some of you may have ADHD, autism. So there's these certain traits. And it could be that you're kind of in your own world, you're kind of focused on your own things. That can make you a target because they feel like you're outside of their control, and it can provoke jealousy as well. But then also maybe you are easily distracted, part of ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. That's something they can take advantage of. Because there's a lot of activity, you have a lot of energy. That's what they want. So they can use that to their advantage and it fuels them. So these are all things to consider. You were a convenient target. It's kind of like you're a child on your own, you've got no one around you, no support. You don't really have any power to protect yourself against these people. Maybe you're vulnerable, maybe you're going through something. I mean, you may be pretty good otherwise, but maybe you just went through a breakup, maybe you lost your job, maybe you haven't got much money at the moment, but other than that, you're fine, you're happy, you feel good about yourself. That's perfect. That's a perfect combination for them. These are all things that they can take advantage of. I mean, it is kind of a mixture of strengths and weaknesses. You have things that they want, you have things that they can exploit, but also there are some weaknesses that they can take advantage of as well. Because think about it, if you're completely strong, if you're completely powerful, and you've got these great big walls up, they can't get through, then even if you do have what they want, it's not going to grab their attention. Because, they may see, you have some things of value, but what does it matter if they can't get through? And that may have been the case with many of the people who they didn't target, and they didn't target them for that reason. Because you may look at other people and think, well, they seem happy. They seem like they've got a lot going on. Maybe they've got lots of money. They're successful. They've got a high-paying job. Why didn't they target them? And it may have been because of that reason. Maybe they've got strong boundaries. Maybe they have a strong support network. So it's very difficult for them to target those people. But with you, it's convenient. And not only were you convenient, but of course, you had to stand out in a way that attracted their attention. So there's these certain things about you, these certain qualities that they like. You're like the shiny new toy to them, something they can play with, mess with. So of course, that means that you carry certain traits: empathy, awareness, uniqueness. These are all traits that they resent. In their minds, it's unfair because they don't possess those traits. So they may be envious of them in you. They target you, maybe they idealize you initially, put you on the pedestal, hoping that by targeting you and coming after you, those traits will rub off on them. And of course, when that doesn't happen, because it can't happen for someone like that, then they completely turn against you. Then they want to destroy those things in you because of what it reflects back to them. It reminds them of everything that they're missing. But if they can target those things in you and destroy them, it makes them feel better about themselves. And some of the traits that they resent and that they see in you and target you for is your hope. You're hopeful about something in the future. You've got a lot of drive, optimism. You've got a get up and go mentality, a lot of passion. They love that. Think about it. Why do you think they gang stalk people? It's because they're depressed. They're low energy people. They're not happy. They lack drive. They lack optimism. If they didn't, they'd be doing something in their own lives. So they're coming after you for that. Because you have a lot of hope, optimism, positivity, drive. That's what they exploit you for. And honestly, it's a lot of fun for them. When they see you initially, you're way up here, you've got so much passion, drive, optimism. And it's like, you have a sparkle in your eye. You're so hopeful about your future and you're working towards something. They see all of that in you. And it feels so good for them to take you when you're way up here and bring you all the way down to the bottom beneath them. Because they're way down there as well. And when they can bring you down, it makes them feel so much better about themselves. So they target you because of the things that you possess that they can then strip you of and take away from you. Because they don't possess those things. They are predators and you are their prey. And you're looking like a really good snack, a really good meal for them. All of these wonderful qualities about you that they can consume. And let's not forget your innocence, your unawareness. These are very attractive traits as well. Because these are predators, they're aware. They're very aware of what's going on, of manipulation, how to deceive people. That's how they're always 10 steps ahead of you. So they have a lot of power in order to do this. And this is the thing, people who have a lot of power, people who can carry these things out, they have a lot of control and a lot of awareness of everything. That's actually very boring. There's no real meaning, no real purpose to their lives. And so their idea of fun is to target people of a lower awareness of these things and play around with them. You become their puppet. And it's like you don't understand what's going on. You're so confused. And then they're way up there. They're looking down on you, pulling the strings, pushing your buttons. And it makes them feel alive because they get to play God. And you just can't figure out what's going on. It's so amusing for them. It's a form of entertainment. And even though, they may have power, it's not bringing them happiness because, what they really want is to play. It's kind of like they want their innocence back. They want to come back to just having fun themselves, but they can't because they are corrupt. And so their idea of fun now is to corrupt you, contaminate you with their poison, with their sickness. That's not to say, that if you chase power, if you chase success, then you automatically become corrupt. And then you just experience boredom and dissatisfaction. No, of course not. It's because they're fake. They're liars. They deceive people. They're not revealing who they really are. And that's how they can't find any happiness or satisfaction, any fun in what they do, because they know that they don't deserve it. Anything that they have, they know that they don't deserve it, so they can't really enjoy it. You really can enjoy something and feel connected and immersed in it when you know that you have worked for it, you have earned it. They didn't work for nothing, they didn't earn it, that's why they can't be happy with it. And that's why they go around trying to provoke envy, jealousy in people, because they can't get satisfaction from it directly. This is how the mind works in a corrupt person. This is why they do the things they do. This is the psychology behind it. Regardless of who your gang stalkers may be, regardless of who is pulling the strings at the top. And believe it or not, these gang stalkers, the ones who are at the lower level, who are stalking you and harassing you in person, they're puppets themselves. They're also toys, they're also playthings for the people who are higher up. They're being used. And they can't even see it, they're confused. They don't fully know what's going on. They lack awareness. And that's how they become someone else's puppets. And that's just it, anyone who is corrupt, anyone who is chasing undeserved power, they are being deceived. Because there is nothing good about it. It is nothing to be proud of. What is good and, at a real higher level of awareness, where you are no longer someone's puppet and you're no longer confused, that's when you do good in the world. That's what's going to clear all of the confusion, because then you don't feel any guilt, any shame. And yeah, these gang stalkers, they are shame-based people who are doing everything they can to avoid reflecting on their shame, to avoid having to reflect on the fact that, yes, they are corrupt. So they're having to target people and deflect it onto you. This is a big part of the game. It's all shame deflection. Deep down, they feel inadequate because they had to lie, they had to cheat people to get to where they are, to where they can have control over people. And they're trying to rid themselves of the shame. Notice how they're always blaming and shaming you. Where's that coming from? It's all a projection. It's a reflection of how they feel about themselves. They just don't want to self-reflect. And this is why no matter how many months or years go by, they always stay the same. They always use the same tactics because they're stuck in confusion themselves. They can't resolve it. because they don't want to go within and accept that, yes, they are frauds. They are liars. They are cheaters. They don't want to accept that. And that's how it just keeps going. And that's how there's no cutoff point for the abuse, because they're not even fully connected to themselves or their emotions. They're numb, disconnected, disassociated. They have a complete lack of empathy and self-awareness. And yeah, sorry if I myself seem distracted. It's because, as you can imagine, the street theater is going on even as I'm doing this video. And if you've been paying attention, you may have seen it in my shades. You can see everything's happening. And also there is there's the noise in the background as well. They use horns and modified cars. That's why I've got my earphones in, so that it doesn't distract me too much. But yeah, the reality of this is that you are vulnerable at the wrong time to the wrong people. And there's nothing wrong with being vulnerable. In reality, we are all vulnerable. I mean, think about it. We're human. It doesn't take much to destroy a person, whether it's physically or emotionally. So we're all vulnerable. If we're being honest about it, we are. These gang stalkers, they're extremely vulnerable. That's why they need a gang, they need a group to target one person. All of these people are just against you. And you can't have any support. You've got to be isolated. Just think about how vulnerable they are. And it's good to be vulnerable sometimes, because then you can open up, you can connect to people. They're not ever truly vulnerable because they're disconnected from themselves, dissociated. And that's really to avoid the vulnerability. They don't want to go within. They don't want to self-reflect. They don't want to deal with their pain, their trauma. That's why they're all about just putting it on to you, disowning these parts of themselves. But yeah, I mean, you were vulnerable at some point. Maybe you wore your heart on your sleeve. You opened up to people about something. And they saw your vulnerability and they decided to take advantage of it. And it may not have been those people directly. The word got around. And they saw, that you had a vulnerability that they could exploit. Whether it be your love, your hope, your passion. Maybe you yourself, you may have a personality disorder or some traits. It could be schizophrenic traits. It could be autism, ADHD. It could be anything. I mean, let's not forget, none of us are perfect. So they may have seen something in you that they could take advantage of. And you've only got to look online to see. In so many care homes around the world, elderly people are being abused or neglected. Children in schools, children in their homes being abused, neglected. People with mental illnesses, they're being abused, neglected. Often in public, facing community harassment, and they've done nothing wrong. Just because they're different, just because they're vulnerable. This is happening everywhere. Bullies in schools are targeting vulnerable children. Workplace harassment. This happens to people every day. And it's no different with us. They saw something that made us vulnerable. And what makes us vulnerable is often acceptance, truth, honesty, authenticity. These are things that make us vulnerable. Peace, love, These are all brilliant qualities, but they make us vulnerable. Something to think about. Even your happiness, just having a good time, having fun, that makes you vulnerable. I mean, think about it. When you're having fun or when you're in love, you're distracted. You're not aware if a predator has their eyes on you. You don't even see it. And yet it's what draws them to you. So, it all links up. This is all a part of it, clearly. You were just being your authentic self. You were having a good time, having fun. And of course, when you're having a good time, you're not so self-conscious. And so you're not thinking about hiding your flaws, your vulnerabilities. These things are exposed. And being in a state of love, a higher frequency, makes you blind to the negative frequencies. It makes you a perfect target. And I don't know, why is the system set up in that way? I don't know if it's a test to people, to the gang stalkers, to bullies. Maybe it's a test for ourselves. Do we choose love anyway? Because to do that, that takes real strength, real courage. It really does. It could be a test for all of us. I don't know. But I will say, the deeper that you look into this stuff, it seems like a huge coincidence. It's very interesting how it's all set up in this way. Especially if you're religious. And you know what happened to the prophets of God. But yeah, a big part about this is that you are not toxic. You didn't conform to the rules of a toxic system. I mean, just look at the world. If you're not conforming to the world, to society, is that a bad thing? Our society today is sick. And I don't want to go into that too much. I mean, I can do a whole other video on that. But I think we all know exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, just look at how it is. Everything today, we live in a very sick society. And you didn't want to conform to it. And people who do conform to it, they are at a low level of awareness. I mean, I know I said that they have more awareness than you do, but that's of manipulation, deception. When it comes to love, peace, acceptance, and just having a healthy way of life, clearly they lack awareness in that area. So, it's your higher awareness, your authenticity. It triggers them. When you are at a high vibration, it triggers people who are at a low level because they are living in denial. They're disconnected, disassociated from themselves and their emotions because it's too painful for them to accept or deal with. And so